Welcome to EvolvingSeeds.com. I am your host, Michael. We are going to go over the Why Agreements document, or why should we have agreements, and what that is, what that looks like. And essentially, what that is and what that looks like is consent. Consent to engage in a society, a civilization, systems, and institutions that will be governing us, to be able to consent to them before you engage with them, before their arbitrary dictates, and before their, because there wouldn't be any arbitrary dictates. Or excuse me, some of them, I guess, are arbitrary dictates. They're things we want to agree upon, but they're things we get to agree upon um, beforehand and with willful and knowing knowledge of them. They're not hidden, they're put forth up front. So, why community agreements? In an effort to effectively communicate a working dialogue, a language has to be respected and chosen that all parties involved can use to effectively communicate. The chosen umbrella term that we will use is, quote, true science. This is to further differentiate the difference between profit motivated science and illogically rigid skeptical science, or scientism, and science for the betterment of mankind. The term true science will function for us in this simple form of the scientific method as we apply it to socioeconomic and environmental consequences and concerns. At the roots of what we call science is merely a language. Any true language is a method of communicating truth. By using logic and reason to discover truth, we can harmonize with our environment and create efficiency. With efficiency, we can create abundance. In short, through the scientific method, we can create abundance. But abundance will not communicate for us. We must communicate, as many have before, a set of agreements. These agreements are not arbitrary dictates. They are not rules. They are not laws, statutes, revised statutes, codes, or regulations. There is only one law, the natural law, as referenced by the Constitution of the United States of America. The natural law is the non-aggression principle. Do no harm. Do as thou wilt. Do no harm. Do not do any action to another person that person does not want you to do to their person or property, including non-human persons. Beyond understanding of the natural law, it seems we are obligated to come to terms with being individuals in a social environment and use the chosen language of that society to encourage further dialogue and peaceful conflict resolution. I did want to articulate and maybe even read this a little over again. The natural law is the non-aggression principle. Do no harm. Do as thou wilt shall be the whole of the law within the lines and confines of you doing no harm. Do not do any action to another person that person does not want you to do to their person or property, including non-human persons. Beyond understanding of the natural law, it seems we are obligated to come to terms with being individuals in a social environment and use the chosen language of that society to encourage further dialogue and peaceful conflict resolution. Agreements are expressions of consent, presumably the consent of the aggregated mind. The best example of this concept is the mythological social construct, cited by statists, people who believe in the inherent legitimacy of government for some reason, the inherent legitimacy of strangers for some reason, which has never existed in any meaningful form. We are responsible for making this concept a reality. We must consummate a scale by which to measure validity of claims rather than be subject to opinions, perspectives, and misconceptions about our personal lives in relation to society, and having the status quo continually suppress progress and innovation with no scientific, moral, lawful, or legal basis or right to do so. The agreements of the community are the bonds that hold the community together. Agreements are the consent to interact with each other and conduct business in certain conditions that the individuals are comfortable with without judgment or ridicule. The following are agreements that are essential to any agreements that will come henceforth. Of sound mind and body, I agree to submit to the natural, immutable, binding laws of nature. I recognize that if I do harm to another human being, sustainable community member or not, or their property, I therein forfeit my sovereignty and will be subject to be governed by the jurisdiction of A, the person or persons harmed, B, the immediate family, of the person or persons harmed, C, my community, D, my peers, E, the laws of cause and effect. If I violate the natural law, I am subject for my will to be under the will of the people and no longer in harmony with it. I agree that justice for any violation of the law shall not in turn be a violation of the natural law. The correction for a crime may not be violence or death unless agreed upon by myself, the victim's family, the community, or my peers. I agree that any violation of the natural law will define me in breach of my bond, my agreement, and my ability to respond. Only under this circumstance will I submit to rule. If I am not in crime, all of my rights are reserved and remain self-evident. Of sound mind and body, I agree to make a conscious, focused effort to apply my understanding of the scientific method to socioeconomic and environmental consequences and concerns. I will, to the extent that it is possible, set aside my opinions and personal perspectives with regard to the non-aesthetic aspects of society. I will acquire evidence to support my counterclaim. I will make a focused effort to identify and eliminate logical fallacies in my thought processes. I agree that human beings make incorrect decisions based on incorrect information, and so I also agree that this inconsistency can affect anyone, including myself. I agree to apply logic and reason to my social interactions to the extent that it is possible for me to do so. Of sound mind and body, I agree to address any grievances I have with individuals or my community on any platform that we agree upon, face-to-face, online, peer intervention, mediation, or even a court of reasonable debate. I agree to submit I agree to submit to what I agree are reasonable solutions and resolutions to conflicts. I agree to allow for a reasonable amount of time for issues to be addressed once brought to the community members' attention. I agree to address any grievances against me in the reasonable fashion agreed upon and to fulfill any obligations therein to the best of my ability and to the extent that it is possible. And this is, again, not to be confused with any kind of legal affirmation or anything like that. This is just an outline of what one individual can put forth as trust to other members of their community. And so if you are finding relevance here, please like, subscribe, share, follow, and check out the website, EvolvingSeeds.com. There is so much content there toward these ends, and the next video will be about the intentional communities themselves and Universal Strike Incorporated and how we intend to go about producing and generating these intentional communities. You guys be safe out there.